A customer just tried to walk out of the restaurant I work at with a table. What's the weirdest thing you've seen a customer do? I once saw a woman in Staples use one of those large paper cutters to slice her hair off. She laid her head down looking sideways with her long hair strewn all over it and slice. There goes half her hair. Cheap and effective haircut. I was working drive-thru Friday night in a college town, and the car at the window suddenly throws his car in reverse and rams the guy behind him. That guy then rams the car at the window, and then gets rammed by the car behind him. The three cars played bumper cars for a little bit before settling down and getting their orders. Turns out they were all friends who apparently didn't give a crap about their cars. I used to be a server at an upscale cafe restaurant breakfast place. We made our own syrup for pancakes. One day, I am serving this guy in his late 60s or so and I bring him his pancakes. He asks me for the sugar-free syrup. Oh, I am sorry, sir. We actually make our own syrup and don't have sugar-free. Yeah you do. I hid some sugar-free syrup that I brought from home underneath the coffee maker. Huh, it's right over there. Points at coffee maker. Go check. I walk over there and there is a freaking bottle of Aunt Jemima sugar-free syrup under the coffee maker. I asked everyone working if they put that there. Nobody had any clue how or why it was there. I worked at a Wendy's for about 3 years. Mind you, I live in the suburbs so there wasn't too much poverty in the area. I went into the bathroom once to do the usual cleaning and check if there were enough paper towels, etc. There was a guy siphoning soap. Literally he had gotten off the top of the soap dispenser and was putting the hand soap into another container. The goofiest part is that he just saw me and was like hey nonchalantly, as if nothing was happening. I should have stopped him, but I was just surprised and he left really quick after that. The same guy came in another time and was loading up on napkins and straws but my manager made him stop. TLDR. Some silly man was seriously siphoning some soap. Upvote for alliteration TLDR. A family of known thieves tried to rip a gumball machine off the wall. As they were walking out the manager caught them and they just put it on the floor and calmly told him we found it like that and didn't realize we couldn't take it and walked out. Didn't realize we couldn't take it. An understandable mistake. I had a guy become irate and start shouting at me yesterday because we don't carry Vegemite. I work at a school bookstore in Western Massachusetts. Two guys made off with a canoe from the sporting goods department of a large department store in my city but got caught when they went back for the paddles. So they were caught without a paddle. I bet the newspaper headline writers had a field day with that one. Okay, at the time I was working at Blockbuster and an older guy came in, I'd say late 50s or early 60s. He comes to the register and asked if we rent out pee. I explained to him no we do not but the store down the street does. I heard this question a lot. So anyway guy says he'll just make do and comes back with a stack of Olsen Twins videos from when they were like 8. Couldn't tell if I got trolled or if he was for real. Either way I could never look that guy in the eye again. I also worked at a family video store back in the day. After being told that, dejected customers would quite often come back with showgirls and striptease. I was the night manager of a grocery store and I've seen some weird crap. A guy stole a fifth of a vodka and drank the whole thing in the bathroom in about 5 minutes. Then tried to pay me in handfuls of pennies as I called the police. A guy bought about 50 packs of cold-blooded turkey lunch meat on Thanksgiving. Saddest Thanksgiving ever. An Indian man tried to get the store to start carrying the mint he was growing in his house. A guy with a gun and a taser on his hip. This is Chicago so you never see crap like that. Who calmly told me he was a bounty hunter. A guy came shopping with his wife and 3 kids. He was a middle-aged man who looked completely normal. From the waist up. From the waist down. He was wearing a skirt, pantyhose, and high heels. His family didn't seem weirded out or embarrassed at all. There was the guy jerking off in the sink and making direct eye contact with any other customers who came in the bathroom. TLDR. Freaking people, man. I worked for about a year in customer service in a large department store. We had quite a few regulars who came in to pay their credit card bill or take out a lay-by, etc. We had one customer and looking back now whenever he came in he'd never do any of these things or ask for assistance. He'd just come in for a long chat. He was an elderly chat and you'd never miss him when he came in, as he was always dressed head to toe in orange. Now it wasn't enough that he was constantly dressed in all orange. He also changed his name to suit his favorite color, and so he was Mr. Orange, Mr. Happy Orange. He had legally changed his name to Happy Orange. I know this for a fact as my colleagues told me he had come in with legal documentation to change his name on his credit card account. This was a couple of years before I started working there, and so Mr. Orange would come in every couple of weeks for a yarn. I tried to hold a couple of conversations with him, but he was very difficult to follow, and somehow all conversations led back to orange and how it is the happiest color. His name used to be George. When I used to work in retail, I once had an old guy bring in his DVD player that he was having issues with. I connected it to a TV to test it and quickly discovered he had left a Girls Gone Wild DVD in it. He was standing right next to me when I found it, just smiling. He said, "I like the softcore stuff, you know, nothing too bad." I LOL'd and didn't charge him for the service. Not me, but my mother once worked for a small restaurant in Thailand. One night these two people on a date walked in for dinner, and throughout the night this guy treated his date like crap. It was clear to everyone else in the restaurant that the girl was getting annoyed with this guy since he treated the waitresses like crap, constantly interrupted her and dismissed everything she said. At the end of the night he made up some lame excuse about not having much money to pay the full bill. He then said that it didn't matter though because he'd foot the bill on their next date. So this girl stands up and tells her date that she needed to go to the bathroom first. Instead, she walks to the kitchen and asks very politely for one egg. The cooks oblige. She walks back to the table and in one swift motion, picks up her purse and smashes this egg over the guy's head at the same time. She then walks straight out and the staff at the restaurant make him pay for the bill, with the price of the egg of course. Talk about having egg on your face. I used to work at Dairy Queen. This really skinny guy, I'm 6'7", 140 pounds, and he was skinnier than me, purchased 2 pre-made Blizzard sheet cakes, sat down and ate them both in less than an hour. I had an old lady come in on Black Friday one year when I worked at Bookstore. I walked over to her asking if she needed any help with anything, and she says, "They put a radio in my wall. Do you hear strange voices at night?" I stared at her for about 5 seconds before very hesitantly telling her no. She accepted my answer and immediately left, only to return about 30 seconds later. I asked if she needed any help with anything, to which she responded, "I think there's about to be a fight in the parking lot at Bojangles in Clemson." The Game stop that I worked at was not in Clemson. It was about 30 to 45 minutes away from Clemson. Me. There's not really anything I can do about that. I think they are poisoning their customers. Their food tastes different than all the other Bojangles. Have you ever ate there? Me. I've never ate at the Bojangles at Clemson. I don't go to Clemson often. You know Clemson? They have that football team. Me. Yes mom, they do. Okay, and leaves. I worked at a drugstore with a 1-hour photo booth. One day this guy comes in and darts all over the store humming the Mission Impossible song. Other customers are obviously freaked out and clear the way for him as he starts ducking and rolling around the aisles. He eventually makes it to the photo counter and waits. I walk up and ask if I can help him. He hands me a roll of film and asks, "Are you a Fed?" I shook my head no. He says, "I need these printed. Don't give them to anyone other than me. And don't look at them." He ran full speed out of the store screaming, "I'll be back." They're on the roof now. I end up developing the film to see photos of 7 or 8 guns in his house. He also took photos of letters from the local police department, advising him he is not being followed and he can rest assured he is safe. Later he shows back up and again repeats his previous entrance to the store. He gets to the photo counter and my friend walks up to help him. He asks, "Are you a Fed?" My friend says number. The crazy guy drops a 20 on the counter and opens his hand for the photos. My friend hands them over. Crazy guy dashes out of the store without his change. We never saw him again. TLDR. Crazy guy runs through drugstore, humming Mission Impossible. Gets photos developed of his guns and letters from police. That's sad. Sounds like a schizophrenic not taking his meds. Not me, but a friend worked at a sporting goods store. One day an older lady, looked around 65-70, came in and asked if they had night vision cameras for sale. My friend says no mom, but we do have these that set off a bright flash when movement is detected and then takes multiple pictures. They're $90. She ends up buying like 5 or 6 of them, and afterwards my friend asks her if she is getting wild animals on her property. She says, "Number." Proceeds to look around. Comes in to whisper, "I'm looking for some dang zombies." Customer high on drugs tried to steal a DVD player. We, the staff, confronted him as a group. He started to headbutt his way through a tempered glass window. That is when you video it and put up on YouTube. Probably make a profit on the views over the cost of the DVD player. A girl locked herself out of her car in the drive-thru because a spider was in her car. She got scared, jumped out, and the door shut and locked. She was stuck there for 45 minutes waiting for someone to come and unlock her door. The spider was still inside the car on the window mocking her. Geez, the least the spider could do is unlock the door. Technically not customers, but patrons of a sort. When I worked as a beach lifeguard, a couple put their 3-year-old kid in an inflatable boat in the water and just left him there. Oh yeah, offshore winds. So I stole a brass stool from my favorite bar back in the day. I had been a daily customer there for a couple years when the bar was sold. I showed up for the first day under new ownership and found it ruined. Karaoke machine, Jaeger dispenser, staff all wearing stupid matching polo shirts. So I took my stool and walked out. Never went back. Still have the stool. Man goes into bar, leaves with stool sample. Film at 11. I had a group of Harvard students make a dish tower between 2 tables with their saucers and plates. The points for engineering, deductions for being complete shots. Well, you are talking about Harvard after all. Used to work at Radio Shack, and we sold a wind-up radio to this homeless man. He returned about 10 days later, and as soon as he walked in, declared very loudly, "This radio is a piece of crap," and threw it on the floor, and walked out, never to return. I work at a comic book store and lots of weird creepy things happen. But there is this one old man who is the most creepster of all. On multiple occasions he has come in and complimented me about my clothes, or even once about my legs. He is always buying the comics with scantily clad women on them. Every time when he leaves he tells me, "Have a nice day, even if you don't want to." One day, he asks to use our restroom. Since he was old, I said yes. He proceeds to spend over an hour in the bathroom. When he finally finishes and leaves the store, he says, "Sometimes you can't wait to get home to rub one out." I am still scarred. I used to work at Walmart, and on 3 separate occasions some guy had crap on the floor. One was in the sporting goods department, another was in the women's underwear department, and the third was right in the main aisle. After the 3rd time, he was banned from the store. Later the same day, police found him jerking off in the parking lot and arrested him. After the 3rd time, he was banned from the store. My question is why he wasn't banned the 1st or 2nd time he took a crap in a store. I once saw a customer walk into a department store and immediately start flipping over tables of expensive china and dishware. As other shoppers ran and hid, the customer began picking up ceramic dinner plates and throwing them at other shoppers' families, women, children like frisbees. He was 6 feet 4 inches and weighed 270 pounds. He was wearing camouflage shorts, work boots, and a do-rag. No shirt. From there, he punched, knocked over, and destroyed 2 expensive display mannequins. Then, in a sweeping motion, used his arm to send a bunch of cologne bottle samples flying off of the fragrance countertop. He knocked over some clothing displays, and then began chasing the assistant store manager around a circular display table. By this time, a crowd of 100+ people had formed, but nobody did anything. I worked for the store in loss prevention. A few minutes before this all happened, my partner and I had spotted a shoplifter who ran when we tried to stop him. My partner combed them all while I went back to the store to locate the shoplifter's family. When I got to the store, I heard them paging the emergency code. I radioed for my partner, but there was no answer. My partner had found the shoplifter and was staying close to him so as to keep him in sight. He turned the volume down on his radio so as not to alert the shoplifter. He knew I would find the family who would eventually meet back up with the shoplifter, and we'd make the stop then. As I got into the store, I saw the crowd of people around the top of the escalators looking down into the lower level. I heard the screaming, the glass breaking. I ran. When I saw the guy, I didn't want to be the one to approach him, but nobody else did and I knew it was my job. Sir, calm down. He punched me in the face before I knew what happened. Dug the frame of my glasses into my cheek. He wound back for a second punch. I caught the second one. From there, I bear hugged him and pushed with all my strength. He fell backward, off balance, and down to the ground. Once on the ground, then people came to help. It took 5-6 people to hold him down. Even after I got him in handcuffs, still 4 people to hold him down. The police said he woke up in the jail cell handcuffed to the wall 4 hours later and said this can't be good. Turns out, his sister had just died and he had gone to the mall with the sister's daughter, his niece. He couldn't handle it. He called his wife and told her the daughter was in the arcade and he was going to get high. He went to the car and smoked PCP, then decided to shop for China, I guess. The customer began picking up ceramic dinner plates and throwing them at other shoppers. PCP. The police said he woke up in the jail cell handcuffed to the wall 4 hours later and said this can't be good. Oh yeah, that's definitely PCP. He went to the car and smoked PCP. Called IT. I worked fast food. An average looking middle-aged man walks in and goes directly into the bathroom. Walks out 5 minutes later and leaves. My manager walks in later to find a poop-filled pair of boxers in the sink. There are garbage cans right there. My father and I own a pizza shop. The strangest one had to be a little old lady who came in asking for 5 pieces of pizza and demanded a refund because she couldn't eat it all. Even though I was pretty sure she did eat it all, she kept saying she didn't. We later found out she shoved them under her dress. They fell out when she got up. She later on called me a freaking Hawaiian and told me to go back to Japan. I worked at a photo lab in a drugstore during my early 20s. One day an old woman with a shopping cart walked behind the counter and into the lab between the machines. I turned towards her, and she has this confused expression on her face where am I answer, Mom, you're in the photo lab. You can exit over there, pointing towards where she came from. Old people are like little kids sometimes. And then she probably got in her car and drove home. That's what scares me. I worked at a Colston creamery for several years. A woman came in by herself one afternoon and ordered 3 half-gallons of ice cream. That's actually pretty common. People take it to parties and stuff. She seemed really scattered and in a hurry, but it took forever to get her ice cream made and take her money since she was so disorganized. I finished ringing her up and thanked her, and she continued to shuffle around in her handbag. I normally stay by the register when a customer is in the lobby, but the batch in the ice cream machine needed to come out, so I went into the back. A few seconds later I hear her grab her bag of ice cream and leave the store. I'm alone now, and stay in the back prepping ice cream. My co-worker came in about 10 minutes later and asks why is there a bag of ice cream on the counter. I take a look. The woman had watched me set the bag of ice cream on the high counter to her right, basically at eye level, but as she left in a hurry, she picked up a bag full of receipts, not even credit card receipts, just itemized, to the left of the register instead. She was long gone, nothing we could do about it, but we were baffled at how she didn't notice the weight difference between the 2 bags. I actually thought maybe this was some sort of scam, until she called back that afternoon. She'd finally figured out that she had the wrong bag, and was in a panic because her party was about to start. I apologized, freaking customer service, and let her know I had set her ice cream aside if she wanted to come back for it. Her exact words, "I'm in town an hour away, and I won't have time, so it will be easier if you just bring it to me." She then seemed really indignant that we didn't offer free delivery on forgotten items. Even if I was in superhero mode, I didn't even have a car at work that day. Late at night, I sometimes ponder all the mysteries of that woman. Maybe I've just thought about it too much, but when you lay it all out, it almost seems like she was trying to lure me into something sinister and really unorganized. I mean, did she actually expect that a notoriously goopy ice cream was going to make it an hour away from the store in July in the first place? I really don't think there was much she could accomplish with the receipts themselves. The Colston years haunt me. Weirdos love ice cream. My wife and I used to work at a popular pancake place that keeps flavored syrups on the table. My wife watched a kid climb up on the table, whip it out, and urinate all over the syrups. The worst part was the parents' reaction. They were just like, "Oh Billy, you little scamp," and then didn't bother to tell anyone. Sounds like a house that is international. A woman threw her sub sandwich on the ground because we didn't call her name out correctly. I work at Firehouse Subs. My dad used to love giving bizarre names when we went out to really nice restaurants. Mind you, we have a hard enough last name as it is, so usually we give a first name or something fake anyway. One was announcing loudly and proudly that he was the Thaddeus T. Thudpicker, there to dine with his loving clan of Thudpickers. He also liked giving L. Lloyd Llewellyn at Asian places. I used to work at a grocery store as a night stalker. There was a really beat looking alcoholic guy who would come in every night and buy a bottle of mouthwash. One night he came into the store and had a violent seizure. We called an ambulance and they took him off to the emergency room. 2 hours later, he was back in there buying mouthwash. The cashier was like, "That was strange, huh?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, I've never had a seizure in a grocery store before." The next day, someone caught him pounding mouthwash in the bathroom and he was banned from the store. When my brother worked at Walmart, this guy walked out with a TV thinking the guy already bought it. Employees actually helped him load the stolen TV into his car. After he left they found the anti-theft device back near electronics. How he walked out without paying or being caught is beyond me. I don't know how much of this is true due to the fact that my brother can be a liar but thought he'd post anyway. When I worked at Walmart I once found a whole turkey dressed in baby clothes complete with a hat sitting on a bench in the store. I waited tables in my early 20s. I was inputting an order into the flat touchscreen type machine we used when a customer from another table came up and threw his plate of spaghetti and meat sauce down next to the screen, getting it all over the screen, and stated, "I am not going to eat this crap." I turned to him and told him that I'd be happy to get my manager. My manager came over, saw what had happened and kicked the guy and his girlfriend out of the restaurant. He was yelling at them that they were horrible people and that our restaurant did not need to serve people like them, and to get out and never come back. It was epic. Other customers started clapping. My manager comped a free drink for everyone in the restaurant, and the rest of the evening went swimmingly. I worked at a pet store. My boss busted a guy trying to steal tropical fish. He had brought a little net and had a bag of water in the pocket of his coat, and was chasing the fish around the tank when my boss walked up behind him and just stood there to watch. Somebody else stole a python. We also had customers several times go into the tropical fish room, which is unlit except for all the fish tanks and smoke pot. We also had some ladies from the whorehouse next door come in and try on dog collars and leashes. I used to DJ at a small bar where a couple of drunk people decided they liked the look of our outdoor furniture and attempted to steal 2 metal chairs, walked over to a nearby taxi rank and attempted to convince the taxi driver, who had been watching the whole thing, that the bar had sold them the chairs for £5. The bar manager arrived at that point to reclaim the chairs. Some people. Goddamn. The weirdest crap happens when I DJ. Last time I was given a whole sheet of brownies. Some lady just walked up and set them behind the booth, mid-set. I'm freaking allergic to chocolate. I used to work as a hostess and a drunk older couple, about 50-60, came in towards the end of the night and asked to be seated somewhere real private, and I told them that the sections in the back no longer had a waiter assigned to it. The old guy creepily leaned in and winked. "I bet you I could get someone to serve me." What does that even mean? Midway to walking them to their table I noticed they weren't right behind me, so I turned around and they were still at the hostess stand grossly making out and pawing at each other. I decided to let the manager cover this one and got news of their increasingly inappropriate displays of affection from the waiters the rest of the night. I work at a gourmet pizza restaurant. We have a 26 inches pizza called the Monster. If you and a friend can eat it under an hour you get it for free. Otherwise it's $45-50. So these 2 dickbags I went to high school with come in and order a 5-star, 5 cheese and rosemary Monster for the Monster Challenge. 45 minutes go by and probably 3/4 the pizza is gone. Time starts ticking and a manager and myself come watch. They were the only people in the restaurant at the time. They both look sick and sweaty, having ate about 3 pounds of cheese and dough each so far. They get down to the last minute or two and are shoving pizza in their mouths, obviously nauseous. One proceeds to projectile vomit all over himself, the table remaining pizza, and his teammate. They both get up and run out, leaving vomit and their cell phones on the table. Since I knew them, we could identify them to the police for dining and dashing on a $65 ticket. They also, stupidly, had beers. I didn't have to clean anything up since I handle food, so the managers got to clean up the puke. And since I knew the doucher bags, I didn't have to pay for their ticket. It was totally gross though. They also never came back for their cell phones. I worked in a video store all through high school. By far the weirdest thing I saw was two mentally retarded customers start fighting. They were both frequent customers, one always with his guardian, the other by himself, but I'd never seen them in the store at the same time before. Apparently they hated each other, because when they saw each other they just started yelling "frick you," which is just as horribly hilarious as you can imagine. They started hitting each with the videos they each had, and our videos were in hard plastic cases, when the guardian ran up and broke up the fight. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.